Okay, folks, here's your next set of symbols, and we will see how this goes because I'm trying recording a new way. Let's get rid of that. Yay. Okay. So basically today in this recording, you're going to learn about some of the symbols, well, all of the symbols that are circled in pink, plus a few more that are not on this diagram. It's mainly about electrical symbols. So our first one is called a recessed light. Remember in your notes, I would like you to write recessed light, draw the symbol of a recessed light, and then you should have these two pictures to glue down beside it so you see the example of the real thing in your notes. So recessed light, well, to be recessed means that you're like inside of something, you're recessed in it. So these lights are like stuck up in the ceiling like this. They're always circular. Sometimes they're a bigger diameter, sometimes they're a smaller diameter. They're always in like a hole up in the ceiling. Sometimes you'll hear them referred to as can lights or pot lights. That's because it literally looks like a tin can got stuck up in the ceiling and then you screwed a light bulb up in it. But for this class, we call them recessed light, but knowing that they can be called can lights might help you remember which one is a recessed light. And the thing about the lighting symbols is they're all going to be a version of a circle with lines coming out from it, but the recessed light has the square around it. So we have to figure out a way to remember that recessed is the one with the square around it. Maybe the circle looks like it's recessed inside of something since it has a square. Our next two types of lights, and remember these are all types of lights that you may find in a kitchen or bathroom because that's what we're focusing on next, is a ceiling mount light. And here are three examples of ceiling mount lights. This first one is like a $10 fixture you get from Lowe's or whatever, and they're very, very common for like hallways or stairways or entryways. They're just very plain, and they have the most basic of the symbols, just the circle with the lines coming out from it. Any light that's hooking straight onto the outside of your ceiling, it is mounted to your ceiling, that's where it gets its name from, is a ceiling mount light. It does not matter if it is this type of light. It doesn't matter if it's a chandelier like this or if it is pendant lights over your bar, like these lights over here. They are all mounted to the ceiling no matter what. So the electrical hookup is the same for all three types of lights. And that's all that needs to be on your plans, on your electrical plan when you're drawing symbols. The electrician just needs to know, okay, it's a type of light that's going to hook to the ceiling. I don't care what it looks like, it's just hooking to the ceiling. That's all I need to know as an electrician, so they know how to mount it that way. This next symbol is called a wall mounted light, and its only difference is still the circle with the lines out from it, but it has one other line attached to one of its lines. This is representing where the light is attaching to the wall because it's mounted to the wall, a wall mounted light. Here is the example we're going to use. This is a light over the sink in a bathroom. Do you see how it has the circular part in the center? It is mounted to the wall right there. So this symbol tells the electrician, okay, this type of light is going to hook onto the wall. And they don't care what the light looks like. They just need to know that the electrical box hooks to the wall there. Then we have three types of symbols for switches, like light switches. And it looks like a dollar sign. So it's just literally an S, and you put however many actual like flip switches it has on it is how many lines it has through the S. So single switch, one line through the S. Double switch, two lines through the S. Triple switch, three lines through the S. If you have more than three light switches, which would be more than three lines through your S, it can get a little chaotic looking as a symbol. So sometimes, just depends on the architect's style of symbols, but you could also see these drawn as like an S with a little 3, like a sub 3 down beside it. You know how like a exponent? is a little number above the number. Well, it's called a sub something. But anyways, but it's a little number below it instead of above it. So it'd be like S sub 3 or S sub 7, if you have 7 switches, whatever you've got. Because it might look kind of crazy to have 7 lines through it. Then we have 3 types of electrical outlets. So, in a room, you've got switches that switch on lights, and then you've got outlets, which are things you plug stuff into. And if you look at this symbol for any of these outlets, it very much looks like, when you've got the cord, like an extension cord or the plug to like a lamp or your phone charger or whatever, and it's got those 2 prongs coming out of it, or 3 prongs or 4 prongs coming out of it. The symbol very much looks like it has prongs coming out of it. So that should be an easy way to remember which ones are outlets. Also, it has a circle, kind of, like an O for outlet. Do not get it confused with the circles for lights. But a standard outlet, just like normal, one over the other, like this, no buttons on it, no nothing special, is just a circle with the 2 lines coming out of it. My mouse is barely moving. Okay. The next type we're going to do is a GFCI outlet. I don't have these words on there, I don't think. I can't, these are too small, I can't see what they say. But you need to write this down under GFCI outlet, what GFCI stands for. It stands for Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter. Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter. Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter. Hopefully you got it. And you can see that the only difference in the symbol is that it says the letters GFCI beside it. Otherwise, it looks like your standard outlet symbol. In this picture of the actual outlet, the only difference you see here is that it has those 2 little buttons in between them. In this picture, they are red and black, the little buttons, but they might be white in the outlets on your home. In your home, you should notice that. Like, look around and notice which outlets have the little buttons in between them in your home, and that means it's a GFCI outlet. They have the most information. Sorry, they are used in areas where there is water nearby. So you will see them in bathrooms, laundry rooms, and kitchens. You shouldn't see them in bedrooms, living rooms, office, things like that where there's not water, there's not a faucet or anything like that. Because the reason is what GFCI stands for, we just said, was Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter. So electricity is running on a circuit. So what makes that circuit work is you have a wire that is the ground, and then you have another wire that makes it like have the electricity that connects to it. So if there is a fault in the ground, that's the G and the F, then the circuit, that's the C, will get interrupted, which is the I. So something in this contraption, I couldn't tell you exactly how it works, but something in there says, oh no, there's water. Quick, make the circuit interrupt. And it stops, it shuts off. So you don't get electrocuted. So that's why you have to have them close to water. And when we mentioned building codes the other day, that's a building code. You have to have them within so many feet of a water space. Or you don't have an outlet at all. But if you're going to have an outlet within so many feet of water, it has to be a GFCI outlet. I don't remember how many feet it is, and you don't need to know that for this class. Just know that it's near. So that's a GFCI outlet. Very important. Then the last outlet we've got here is called a 240 volt outlet. And volt is a measure of electricity. So that means it's putting out 240 volts of electricity. That's a big outlet. And it looks like, well, the symbol has 3 lines rather than 2. Sometimes you'll see the letters and stuff, 240V beside it, but sometimes you won't. We just know that the 3 lines means 240 volt. The actual outlet in real life looks like this. It actually has 4 holes in the wall like that. Sometimes it'll have 3, it'll be 3 or 4, but it's big. Like, what these standard outlets look like. They're probably, like, this one little box is probably an inch. Well, this box is probably 3 to 4 inches. And the things that plug into these are major big appliances. So a dryer is something really common that you'll plug a 240-volt outlet into, or your oven you would plug into a 240-volt outlet. And they come with special plugs attached to them that are these big plugs. You can see the actual plug in the picture here, this black thing. So I think you should notice. You probably can't see the outlet for your oven at home because it's probably tucked back in there. You'd have to scoot the oven out from the wall to see it. But you could totally like peek behind your dryer and see what your 240-volt outlet looks like behind your dryer and how big that plug is. Okay, that is as far as the cooking. So that must be all of our electrical symbols that you'll need to know to design kitchens and baths. We have one more set of symbols this week, and then it'll be a few more weeks before we sneak in the other symbols. Thank you for listening. If I can get it to stop. Move, mouse.